it's overwhelming, but it's also our jobs.
Our job is only going to get harder.
It's worrisome.
This is something that's unprecedented.
Now is not the time to be a cowboy. No one has anything to prove. We're all in this together.
Welcome to Reporting from the Frontline of a Pandemic. I'm Katie Rhee, and I'm here with Jim Marshall, the station manager for New Bedford Cable Access Television. Thanks, Jim, for joining me.
Thank you, Katie.
And so my first question is, how has this pandemic adjusted the way that you work?
Well, we haven't, in a sense, changed what we've done. What it's done is it's made us do more things and had to turn things a lot quicker. We still have meetings to do. We still have assignments with the mayor, with the health department now, with businesses. I mean, there's so many different organizations and different city departments that are involved with fighting the pandemic. And there's so much information that people want that you try to get it quickly and you try to turn it quickly so that it gets out to the public, whether it be on YouTube or the city's website or just on TV. That we have 3 channels here in New Bedford, so we try to get them out on all 3.
And so how has your station dealt with covering the news? You obviously just mentioned that there's been a lot more work because there's a lot more information and very pertinent information that needs to go out to citizens.
Yeah, and the big thing for us is that we've had to, like I said, it's more about turning it. So it's not as, I guess the best word, the artsy. It's not creative. It's more meat and potatoes type of things. We cover the mayor's press conference, or he does things in his office, or we go to the health department. So things are more, I guess, basic in the production value because we don't have a lot of time to make it look pretty, if you will, because the key is to turn it, because the one thing that we found out, and I'm sure you realize too, is once it's done, it's really dated because things are changing every day. So you want it to be done quickly and you want it to be obviously accurate, but you also have to make sure it gets turned really fast too.
And so what precautions has your stations, plural, been taking to keep everyone in there safe?
Well, the good thing is everybody pretty much has their own office here. We have 9 full-time people that work here. Now, a couple of people, I know my clerk, and we're deemed essential personnel by the mayor. So we're here. And the mayor has told us to be careful with what we do. But everybody has their own office. So that's good. What we're trying to do, one of the big things, and the mayor's tried to have us do too, is people are coming to the studio so that the staff isn't going out, because you don't know what you're going to get when you go out. So we're trying to get people to come here one at a time. If they have to come to the studio, for example, I've got an interview with a state representative tomorrow. He's coming to the studio, but he's by himself. He's not coming with an entourage or anything. It's just, okay, you and I will talk. And in that example, like I'll be on one side of the studio, he'll be on the other. We use a split screen and go from there. Obviously, we're doing Zoom meetings. City Council is meeting on a regular basis, still trying to do their stuff. The meetings are a lot shorter, half hour or so, but we do the Zoom meetings. But the mayor has given us, we have masks, we have gloves, we have sanitizer, hand sanitizer. So if we do go out, and we have occasionally, if we do go out, we have to, we have those precautions. That we take with us.
So you mentioned that you don't want to bring anyone into the studio. So how are your reporters staying safe out when they're on reports?
Well, like I said, when we're trying to have people come to the studio, that's our goal. But if we do go out, they'll wear the face masks. They have gloves if they want them. If not, we have the hand sanitizer too. For example, the other day, one of our videographers went out. The mayor was getting a donation from Joseph Abood, which is a big clothing business, and they donated masks. They transformed to making masks. So the city got a big donation. So we went out and covered that. I had his mask on and gloves and what have you. So we were able to shoot it from there. You keep your 6 feet of distance from other people that are around and go from there, really.
So obviously this is an ongoing issue, an ongoing pandemic. So what changes are you expecting to see in your newsroom maybe a couple months down the line, maybe after this has concluded or slowed?
Yeah, the interesting thing is, well, there's two different things here. There's one, just the technology, because nobody really knew what Zoom was before this came about. We didn't have Zoom. We always went out or people came here, but now the video technology is different. So I think other people are really curious about that and want to do that. The hard thing is the impact that this has financially on you. What is that going to do for your budget? And how does that impact how many people you have? Like I said, we have a staff of 9 here at Cable Access, and that includes 2 public access people who are still working, even though the public isn't allowed in. We still get shows from the outside, but the other people, you've got to watch your monies. Really, that's the bottom line, because financially, you don't know what's going to happen in the next quarter. I mean, you look at the paper today, and this is bad news for state and local governments right now, and they just don't know what's going to happen.
And so you mentioned earlier that the mayor has deemed you and the other people within your station as essential personnel. So how do you maintain that balance of work and home while still knowing that you're an essential worker?
Well, the good thing is like I said, we've actually been here. The staff has embraced the job that they have. This is why they love doing it, because it gets the information out to the residents. And most of the staff here, I would say all the staff, now that I think about it, they all live in New Bedford. So they feel as though they're providing information for their fellow residents, for their families, really. So they go out and they come here to the station. We try not to leave the station, like I said. So, but they feel it's important for them to be here to do their job. And the interesting thing is that, you have to either be at the studio or you have to be out in the field if you're going to get any video for something. So that's just the job. I do have one person who is out who is susceptible to the COVID-19. So she is taking the time that she needs to protect herself. But everybody else is here, and they're doing what they have to do to get the information out there as quickly as possible.
And so you mentioned that your team feels almost obligated to report the news and to stay at their positions because they're all New Bedford residents. So what are the kinds of messages that you're actually getting from other viewers?
The interesting thing is people want more information, though. It's kind of like when we've covered blizzards or hurricanes or storms, and the mayor has done press briefings like 2 or 3 times a day. People always call up and say, "When's the next one? When's the next one?" And I had a caller just the other day say to me, "Okay, when's the next mayor's update?" People are just dying for information right now, local information, not that the state's not giving it or what have you, but they want to know what's going on in New Bedford. How many cases does the city have? Are there hotspots or whatever? So it's interesting that the interest, especially in local public access television, is really huge right now from what I can see, which is interesting. The people in Fairhaven next door or Cushton who are next door, they don't get us. So, the New Bedford people, they have their own station. So this is important to them, and they want it as quickly as possible.
It's definitely incredibly important to make sure that that's relevant, up to date, and keeping them informed. And so I have another question is, what has been the hardest part about covering this pandemic?
There's just so much. I'd like to do more health-wise, but the health officials are so busy right now. We have a health director. We have a hospital. St. Luke's Hospital is in New Bedford. And, we talk to them, but trying to find time to get them to talk is hard. The mayor's always available. We can always get him. City councilors, the police and fire chief. We do get people. We do shows. Like, for example, I had the Chamber of Commerce president on yesterday or 2 days ago. So he did a show. Like I said, we have a state rep coming in tomorrow to talk about what's going on in Beacon Hill. So we're trying to keep timely, but it's really the health officials that are hard to get right now because they're just so busy. And I know the hospital was saying they don't want their medical people out because they don't want them to get sick. And we can do the Skype, but even trying to set up the Skype or the Zoom, things like that, they don't have the time to do it right now, to do a lengthy interview, because really that's what you need. You need a few minutes just to try to do something on TV to make it interesting for people.
Yeah, it's one of those stories where you need more than just a quick shot or a quick.
Exactly. I mean, a 2-minute piece is not going to do anything for us because if you blink, you miss it. I'm not going to, run it all the time. And it's daily, like we just said. I mean, things change every day. So I could have an interview with Damone Chaplin, who's the health director, and it'd be great. And then the next day it's dated. So you need to do it again. And they just, the timing for them is difficult.
So you said that you've had a lot of your reporters, all of your reporters in the stations. So what has been your, I guess, favorite story or your most uplifting story or your most interesting story that you've come across?
It's just that the community really has come together, though. I mean, we've had a fellow Emerson grad, Michelle Nebbs, who her maiden name, she is the president of the United Way here. She came in and did a show to talk about how the United Way is helping people. We had Reverend Dave Lima, who is the president of the Interchurch Council, come in to talk about faith. It's just a different type of topics that a lot of the stuff that you see on TV and what have you, for the most part, is just the nuts and bolts about here's what the disease is, here's what, treatments and this, that, and the other thing. But you try to think outside the box and, okay, here's Michelle talking about the United Way and how they can help, or the Hunger Commission, how they can help. And Dave Lima talks about, okay, what are we doing spiritually to help people through this? Those are the kind of interesting things that are just different that I think are really nice.
I guess what has been.
I think we're lucky too, by the way, because the mayor very much values public access television. There are communities that don't have that. I mean, I know Boston has a great public access television, and our mayor values that. So for him to say, you're essential, I need you, and we're going to do stuff, that is so important to local communities, because I don't know if every community is like that. And my staff is so bigger than, Fairhaven has one person. So the stuff that the content that I generate can go there because Fairhaven and New Bedford are intertwined, really. And that's really important. I think, and that comes from the top. That comes from the mayor saying, you are essential and I need to get the information out quickly. And I mean, we are a city department, which is interesting too. So I have more access to information and department heads and whatever. So that's really interesting too. And that helps to get that information out as quickly as possible.
That's amazing. And that's really incredible that your mayor thinks so highly and has deemed you so important to your community.
Yeah, it is a nice feeling. And, like I said, I don't think every community has that. Cable access is different in that public stations are run differently. Some are, not for profit. Some are combined with other towns. New Bedford is a city department. We're all city employees, and it's run by the mayor. And Boston's the same way, as a matter of fact. So it's really nice when you need to get the information out. It's funny, I look at Boston too, and they have the mayor's press conference, daily press briefings up really quick that same day. And you're doing different PSAs, and you're doing different, we did shows, for example, about the Parks and Rec, how to stay healthy, if you will, when you're confined or in quarantine. So we had yoga instructors in and what have you. So it was really interesting. But again, that starts from the top saying, you guys are important and we need to get it out. One of the other things we've done, and I don't know how many places are doing it, but the school department, and we've been taping them, has had teachers coming in to do lessons. So there are actually classes that we have recorded and then put on TV so that New Bedford school children the next day, and it's usually, in fairness, it's for elementary and middle school. We haven't done any high school classes, but the kids during the day from 8 to 3 treat it like a regular day of school. From 8 to 8:20, we have a math lesson on for kindergarten. From 8:30 to 8:45, there's a first grade science lesson or something like that. So we've been doing those every 2 weeks. They come in and they tape multiple lessons, and then we put them on the schedule every week. And we've got more teachers supposedly coming in next week to do that. But that takes a time to do it, and then we put them all out there.
That's incredible. I guess in a very not a pseudo way, but a way for these students to really connect with their teachers again.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. They do get to see their teachers, which is interesting. And like I said, I don't know. I've tried to market those, if you will, to others, but it's hard because different schools are at different levels at different places. So it doesn't necessarily, what works in New Bedford in this particular case doesn't work in Dartmouth or something like that. But they're out there if they need them.
But it's still an incredible example to show to people that this can be done and can be done for the community.
They have, they have their computers, they have their whiteboards, they go to town on the different, just like going to a class.
That's
so and they teach for 20 minutes and it's done.
That's great. So I do have just 2 more questions for you. So what is your advice for anyone wanting to go into broadcast journalism?
That's always a good question. First of all, have fun. I mean, the one thing that I learned at school is journalism is fun. It's a grind, but it should be a fun thing. I think it's important to listen. I think it's hugely important to listen. The first full-time job I got, I remember the general manager saying, don't do anything, just listen. And that's sound advice, I think. And be, I think be respectful of people, be nice to people. Because your reputation, once you start, your reputation is everything in the business. If you come across as fair, respectful, even if you can disagree, but if you're fair, respectful, treat people the right way, I think you'll have a long career. Because people will know, okay, Katie, it was a tough question, but it was fair, and they respect you that way. And I think the one thing that you can have all the money in the world, but if you have your reputation, I think that just goes a long way. And that carries with you forever. And that, to me, that's so important.
Definitely. Thank you. And is there anything else that you'd like to tell us?
No, I think the experiences you're getting at school, are different than the experiences I got at Emerson 1,000 years ago. But I think, the school is, it does prepare students for the future. And I think you guys are very lucky. And I think that you are coming out of school so much smarter than we did because you have the technology know-how that we didn't have. And you guys are going to do fine. And I think that's great for you guys.
Thank you. As definitely as graduation is nearing, I'm hoping that brings.
And I congratulate you too.
Thank you.
That's not an easy task.
It's been a great 4 years at Emerson. I'm very, very excited and also a little bit bittersweet that I'm graduating soon.
It goes fast.
It did. It went really fast.
So.
Well, thank you, Jim, for taking the time to talk with me. And thank you for the work that you're doing to keep us informed and safe. And thank all of you for watching this episode of Reporting from the Frontline of a Pandemic. I've been talking with Jim Marshall, the station manager for New Bedford Cable Access Television. Please stay safe and have a great day. I'm Katie Rhee.